Have you ever wondered why white folks love straight hair so much? Is it because it's easy to care for? Well, think again. In the early 20th century, African American men wore their hair in tight curls that didn't conform to white beauty standards. To straighten those curls, they used a product called lye. Lye is a strong alkali that burns everything it touches except fat. It reacts with water to form a solution that is so corrosive it can dissolve flesh and bone. When mixed with eggs and potato, it creates a paste that can be applied to the hair and then superheated to cook it. The result is a silky straight mane that screams assimilation, right? Well, not exactly. This is a story about the conk, a hairstyle synonymous with Black Wall Street, and the Harlem Renaissance, a style sported by everyone from Cab Calloway to Quincy Jones to Sammy Davis Jr. The conk was more than a haircut. It was a cultural statement. But to tell its story, we gotta start with the fire beneath the lye. Have you ever had your scalp feel like a 4th of July sparkler? That's a conk. The barber mixes lye, eggs, and yesterday's potatoes into something that looks like pancake batter and fights like napalm. Sit still, don't scratch, or you'll wear the scar for life. 5 minutes later, the rinse sends charred curls spiraling down the drain. White folks nod. Now he looks civilized. Your boss finally hires you. Your teacher moves you up a row. They call it progress. We call it the price of admission. But that admission ticket came with an asterisk. Underneath that sleek style lurked a constant threat of third-degree burns. Then there were the headaches, migraines that started at the nape of your neck and ended in your breakfast. You learn to live with it because what's a little pain between brothers, right? Plus, nothing says brotherhood like the shared trauma of searing hot combs and lye that smells like chemical lightning. Once you conk, you're hooked. Just ask Malcolm Little. In 1943, he sat in that same chair, winced, cursed, then smiled at the mirror's brand-new stranger. Years later, he'd call the conk my first step towards self-degradation. But on the Roseland ballroom floor, those same straightened waves caught the pink neon in every girl's eye. Style was cash you could spend without breaking any laws. Chuck Berry conked before the duck walk. James Brown conked before the cape. The process didn't erase blackness. It remixed it. High gloss, high risk, high attitude. And attitudes go a long way in places like New York City and Chicago, where buildings touch the sky and dreams get buried under concrete. Down in the basement barbershops, boys became men under the watchful eyes of older brothers. No, not those guys. Those guys were customers. These guys were barbers. They weren't just cutting hair. They were carving crowns. And the shop wasn't just a barbershop. It was a university. Saturdays smelled like coffee, cigarettes, and Royal Crown grease. Drop a quarter on the counter and slide into the cracked leather. While the barber carves your crown, he's also slipping you the syllabus. How to keep your eyes down when white women pass. How to answer the foreman without sounding uppity. Mothers didn't send sons just for a cut. They sent them for a PhD in staying alive. Little boys watched elders laugh through the sting and learned the oldest lesson. The rules aren't ours, but the ritual can be. So, when the boys laughed and joked as the hot comb traced their skulls, they weren't just making conversation. They were passing notes through a secret language only they understood. One that said, "We're getting iced, but we're still gonna look fly." And when they stepped out of the shop, hair slicked back, they weren't just obeying white beauty standards. They were turning them against themselves, using the white man's tools to rewrite their own narrative. The conk was a style, sure, but it was also a signal. Don't call it just straight hair. A conk was architecture pompadours taller than the Chrysler Building, ducktails sharp enough to slice bread. White boys got flat tops. We built sculptures that needed silk scarves at bedtime. Each wave carried a zip code, a gang sign, a jukebox hit. Up close, the style screamed, "I dare you to look away." Assimilation, only if you were standing across the street. By the 1950s, the conk industry was a gold mine. Madame C.J. Walker sold a dream on the back of a hot comb. By the 50s, New Nile and Dixie Peach were fighting for shelf space right next to the RC Cola. Black dollars circled the block twice before they left the neighborhood. Teenage sweep-up boys studied the cash register like it was college. Every jar of grease whispered, "Ownership is possible." White companies finally noticed, copied the label, and cashed the checks, but the blueprint stayed black and everybody knew it. Then came 66 Stokely Carmichael, yelled Black Power, and the afro rose like a brand new sun. Overnight, the conk went from cool to corny. Malcolm X denounced his processed mind. Barbershop floors filled with dark curls and lighter consciences. Some brothers felt free, some felt naked. Either way, the chemicals that once straightened now etched scars into porcelain sinks. Today, walk into any natural hair expo now. Twist outs, locks, frozen curls bouncing like they owe rent. The lie kits are museum pieces, replaced by sea butter and coconut dreams. But the questions linger. Why was my afro unprofessional until last week? Why did the Crown Act have to be a law at all? Every time we defend our coils, we're just remixing the same old song. The tools change. The key stays the same. They labeled it assimilation. We made it rebellion. We sat in those kitchen chairs, scalps sizzling, and turned agony into armor, shame into shine. The conk wasn't about looking white. It was about outwitting white supremacy while looking incredible doing it. So the next time you flip through that old photo album and see Granddad's gleaming waves, pause. See the burn marks, the barber's steady hands, the quarter that bought a haircut and an education? Hear the quiet riot humming under every glossy curl. And if this story made you rethink the family photos, hit like, share your own hair memories below, and stick around. History is still growing out of our heads.